I'm excited to be here with Jila Behnad.
Yeah, me too.
Well, we go back a little bit, and I've always enjoyed you and appreciated you. And amongst one of your many accomplishments is helping to bring emotionally focused therapy to your homeland, your native country, to Iran, which is just huge. Everywhere we get to spread EFT is good. And you are a certified emotionally focused therapist and supervisor, also on the faculty at Palo Alto in the MFT program, a beloved teacher and mentor there. And you started the Raha Foundation, a nonprofit, and developed the Can You See Me workshops, and which you'll be doing one for the Boulder EFT community here in Colorado in the United States in next November. So I'm so glad to be with you. And you've generously, I think, well, you said you can tell us you asked your husband if it was okay to share something more personal, which is how immigrating impact your relationship. So yeah, tell me a little bit about that. Maybe how you came to immigrate to the United States and
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Before I talk about my experience, I'd just like to mention something which is important for me. Every time we talk about taking EFT to Iran, I like to remind myself that I didn't start it. Actually, Roza Khorshidi, she's a EFT therapist. She started with Lieven and Kyriaki, two of our trainers. So I was there as a helper the first time. But then I continue with Kyriaki, and I keep working for like a few years, and then with help of Hamid Fatahian, we started our community, EFT community. So I feel that many times they give all the credits to me. I just want to be fair and say that that was a group effort. It was not just me.
so Raza, EFT therapist, and then Lieven, a trainer from Belgium, Kyriaki from Greece, and a team effort that you came into a little later, but yeah, that's gracious.
And Hamid too, Hamid Fatahian.
I got to know Ahmed a bit doing the shame workshop. He's I like him very much.
But about my experience as an immigrant, I came to the US in 1998 with my husband. I was 27. So I like to tell you a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Iran. I went to college. I studied Persian literature in Iran. And I love it. So I was a teacher. I was teaching in high school, and that was my dream job. I was accepted in two majors actually at university, psychology and literature, and I loved both. But I decided to go to for literature. So when I met my husband in Iran, I was pretty confident. I had my job. I had a group of friends that I loved them, and we very quickly we got married. We went to Japan because he was a student in Japan, and then he got an invitation from the US that they asked him to come and open a startup in the US. So, and also he actually, English was his first language because my husband, he was born in London. So he's Iranian, but he has been outside of Iran many times for many years because of his father's job. For me, it was very new. It was the first time at 27, it was the first time I left the country. I couldn't speak English. And but I was very excited. It was a new life, it was a new marriage, and I just thought I'm coming to support him, and also it's a great experience for me too. But the first day, actually, we arrived to San Francisco, stay at San Francisco airport. I just felt I'm lost. I don't know who I am. Like I noticed that they are treating us very differently. The way, like he came here with O visa. I don't know if you know, O visa is for special, like very talented people. And I was I was dependent on his visa. He could speak English, I couldn't speak English. He had a job, I didn't have a job. He knew friends, he knew people here because he came to start a company. The first day,
There's a lot of differences in
yeah,
your experience. You start with, we're coming for your job. English,
yeah,
your first language. I don't speak English. We're coming
yeah.
depending on your visa for your talent, and then you notice right away what you said. I noticed right away they were treating us differently. What do you mean?
Yeah, when they opened, because I came to the US with Iranian passport, and they opened my suitcases and they asked me questions, and they like had a lot of respect for him. And I said, what's happening here? So
That's
why they are asking me all these questions? They search my stuff and they have so much respect for him. So immediately I got that sense, oh, we are I told you I'm a crier.
Yes, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we all together need to learn more about. It's a painful, painful, scary experience. You were not welcome to our country like the Statue of Liberty implies, come, we'll take everyone. You were questioned and you're under like a microscope on day one. You're not even minutes into coming to U.S. soil. It sounds like you start getting a message that brings
Yeah,
you
that I'm not welcome.
not welcome.
That was a message. Yeah. So
It sounds it's traumatic. You're shaking. It's something we all right. It's Jim. That was a terrible, disappointing, traumatic day in my life. I didn't know that would happen. And right next to me, my husband is being treated different. This is hard.
and I want to say something when you said traumatic event, because I didn't have a very easy like fun life in Iran. I was not very pampered and like spoiled. When I was 7, the revolution happened. When I was 8, we had a war between Iran and Iraq for 8 years. At 9, my parents got divorced. Like I had many difficult time in my life. And I don't remember any time I felt depressed that time with all those difficulties, even during like 8 years of war in Iran. And when I look at that time, I noticed that I I was not alone in that experiences, in those
Mm.
experiences. I had 2 wonderful sisters, very supportive. My dad was he was my attachment figure. So I had, and I knew we are going through all of this together as a family, or it's happening to the country, like we are all going through this trauma together. It was so different. But with my experience in immigration, I was very lonely. I felt that nobody. Uh,
You weren't. There's no. Your sister or something is your mother. Your family isn't with you going through the experience. We're all going through this customs. They're looking at all of us with suspicion. They're looking through all of our luggage versus, yeah, in the war and political changes and things. I'm going through it my with friends and family, and it speaks so much about the power of attachment, what we can go through as humans when we're in it together versus this very isolated, shocking experience.
right, and the other experiences, like painful experiences I had before in Iran, I didn't feel that it was my fault. But now in the US, I felt anything is happening to me, it's my fault. I'm not educated. I don't speak English. I don't, the part of me was, I'm living in the greatest country. What's wrong with you, Jila? Why don't you enjoy this experience? Like, look at, like, this is, everything is new, but like, it was all my fault that I'm not happy here. There's something fundamentally wrong with me. I can't make friends. And every time I try to make friends, every time I try to connect with people, I was so disappointed with myself and I felt I was rejecting all the time. I remember I wrote a letter for my friend in Iran and I said, for years, US was on TV for me. I just watched like all the movies and everything. And now I'm in the US, but I have the same feeling that I'm on TV because there is no connection between me and people. I'm seeing them, but there is nothing between us.
Yeah, like you're
And when,
you're different in a way that's it feels bad. I don't belong. Sounds like if I am noticed, it's for being different or for not speaking English or when I am learning English, people are frustrated with me. I'm trying hard. Is there something wrong with
yeah.
me? I should be happy and more excited to be in this country. Is that right? That's
Exactly, yeah. And part of me felt so bad in my relationship with my husband because I felt he's excited. He has a job that he loved, and he's very successful. He wanted to take me out and show me, like his friends, his colleagues. Let's go to the party. Let's go and see Bob Dylan. Let's go and see Paul.
so this was hard then. And
Yeah,
how
but
this impact you and your husband?
I felt very lonely inside, and of course, I lost my identity because in Iran, I just felt I'm very successful. I love my job. I'm very social and fun. Like I can understand people when I walk at the street. I know who is safe, who is not. And when I came here, I lost all of this. More than anything, I lost my identity. I don't know who I am. I don't know uh, how to talk to people. I don't know even go to a like safe way. Anything was so different, but that was my personal experience with myself. But when it came to my relationship with my husband, I kept feeling that I'm shaming him because he want to introduce me to other people and I couldn't even have a small talk or anything I said. I felt like he kept correcting me and I just felt, oh my gosh, that's horrible. I like felt so bad for him that
Mm,
uh, when I do things, when I say things, it's wrong. I don't know how to dress up. I don't know how to talk. Uh, and I start to just, for me, just being in my home with myself was my safe place. He liked to go out. He wanted to see, was excited to see new things. And he was excited to show me, let's just go and try this, try that. And for me, it was a nightmare. Okay, another shame, another guilt. So this is a nightmare that if we go out together, I know something happened that at the end of the day, I'm coming back home and I'm crying and I say, I hate myself. I hate this experience. Uh,
like a sort of thinking about it in attachment and cycles and things. It sounds like you become, because of the immigrant experience, and you're in different places about it. This is what, through your personal story, maybe it's an example, like a teaching moment for therapists, that when you see an immigrant couple or family, to not assume that all of their experiences aren't all the same, like homogenous and the same. I'm having a very different experience from my husband, and he sounds like an EFT. He becomes the pursuer, saying, "Come on, come on, come on," and because this is so many ways, I hear that you lose your ground. Your career, your friends, that powerful, you said, in Iran, I can go out and know who's safe. In the United States, I have no idea who is safe. Who would be my friend as an immigrant woman, as you know, and who would be, push me away, and I don't know. So you
Yeah.
become the withdrawer, it sounds like, in a way. And then you feel
Oh, yeah.
bad that it's like somehow shaming him because he's so joyful and excited. He wants to share this.
Yeah. I felt shame I so much about myself, but I was not upset of him because when part of me felt that uh, maybe even if I was angry of him, that was healthier. But I didn't have any anger towards him or other people, like people who very racist people who make me feel horrible about myself. I was not angry of them. I was angry of myself. That this
Mm.
is your choice. You choose to come to the US. You have to learn the culture. If you don't know how to relate to them, it's your problem. Like I remember a time we had my husband invited a young couple to our home, and I was very excited and he said we can just be friends. They are very nice people, and I cooked a lot. I set up a big table, and when they came, I was serving the dinner, and I put a piece of chicken in her plate, which is very common in Iran.
Oh,
And she was kind of mad of me that, what are you doing? I don't want chicken. I want to have something else. And my husband immediately told me, Jila, why you are doing this? They can take their food. You don't need to put food in their plates. And I felt so much shame that I even,
yeah, you could feel it now. It comes back up.
yeah,
And I'm just trying to be Angela, doing what I grew up in, and different cultures have different habits about things like, do we serve your food to you in an Iranian home and versus United States, you serve yourself. And I didn't mean to cause upset, but you're sharing something very personal and that you took that on yourself. Somehow it's something wrong with me, which is what shame does, right? Shame makes the, all the uncomfortable emotions like sadness, the fear. Sounds like shame took it and said, well, it's something wrong with you, Jila.
yeah, something wrong. There's something wrong with me, and I'm shaming my husband. And I felt that he wants to be proud of me. He wants to just show me to his friends, but I'm not good enough. So
Oh, that not good enough feeling when you're already overwhelmed by coming to a new country and not knowing the most common language and losing your job and and then is it me? There's something wrong with me. Is this something you could share with your husband, or did you keep, shame wants to hide so often, right? Did you share with him or keep it more to yourself?
we talk about this later a lot, and in that time he really tried to be supportive. Like he kept telling me, "You are the most beautiful
Mhm.
woman. You are the smartest. You are so talented. You are amazing." And my reaction was, like I hate myself. Like I
Yeah,
don't tell. Yeah.
it's not
And every time he
me.
said something,
Somehow you're saying things that should help me. I'm important, I'm talented, I'm beautiful, but I can't. I got blah.
yeah. And I just felt like he's like that came up in our couple therapy, that I told him that I feel you are like a father, that you want to encourage your scared child. That's okay. You're safe. Get out. Like to talk to people. And I just felt smaller and smaller, smaller. The more he told me that I'm enough, the more I felt that, oh, this is not what I am. Like you are talking about your dream. You want to have the smartest and like fun woman and like attractive. That's not me. You are talking about your dream, and like it was a huge gap between how I saw myself and how he saw me.
Maybe that's important what you're saying, that for all of us to learn, and for therapists, that so often when a partner or a family member, client starts to open up about what you're describing, that shame, and you even made the sound of it, I think, when you said, "Ugh." It's kind of a sound that goes across culture and language, you know, ugh, it's a yucky feeling often in the stomach, you know, like almost like we're sick of ourselves or something. And that your husband tried to come in and reassure. He's loving, he's caring, and he wants to reassure you, but it's sort of like,
Yeah.
it's kind of up here. And therapists can do this too, where we want to say, the client comes in and says, I feel just terrible about myself. Like in your story, you know, I'm here in this country and I don't fit and I feel shame about it, let's say, or I feel shame about, you know, my work right now. I feel shame about how I'm being as a parent, whatever it is. And we want to run in and say, no, you're great. And you're saying it kind of made it worse instead of like helping your husband understand. Could the therapist help your husband understand that this shame is real for her, whether it's true or not? What the thoughts you're having about yourself, the experience is real, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I guess was very helpful for me to see how much he felt lonely. Even he had his friends, he had his colleagues, but he wanted me, and I was absent. I was absolutely absent in the relationship. And how much he never told me those days, that how much he felt guilty for bringing me here, because he said, I just felt I separate you from your family and friends, and you were doing great in Iran. So it was so many things between us that we didn't see each other's experience. He just felt that I'm depressed, I have to take medicine, I have to, and he felt like he has to push me to go to school, learn language, make friends. But the more he pushed me, the more I felt I'm not capable. And he felt bad about himself, that he felt that he cannot help me. Uh, and it's funny that something I never actually talked about before, that this is new for me, the part that I never felt angry of him or other people, like it was very new for me. And it came up actually inside of me after Black Lives Matter movement. When I saw other people, like all these years, I'm talking about immigration and culture and my experience, but I was not in touch with that part of myself that was okay if I was angry of other people. I didn't give that right to myself, because I felt if I'm mad, everybody says, okay, go back home. You choose to be here and you can be upset of us. And after Black Lives Matter, when I saw how Black people are angry and they express their anger and they want to get their right, I said, oh my gosh, I know that my experience was different. And like the pain they experience is much, much more than mine. But how come I didn't give myself any right to be
To have that
angry?
primary anger of my dignity is being attacked here because I'm immigrant, because I don't speak English as my first language, because of my parents or my religion or something. Like, this is wrong, that energy. You didn't have the like, this is
Yeah,
wrong, you know, this isn't right. I deserve to be treated well, to be treated equal, to be
right.
to not be looked at in a racist way or suspicious way. Or, and I hear that sounds like, did that help with the shame when you started to have more of a voice?
It did. Yeah, it did so much, because one of the painful experiences I had many times when people couldn't understand me. If I was even at supermarket, doctor office, any place, when they couldn't understand me, they used to talk louder. Like when I said I don't understand, they repeat the same words but louder. And it was so shaming for me that, oh my gosh, they are mad. I don't understand. And now if that happens, I say, I hear you, but I don't understand you. Can you explain this word to me? It doesn't, like, I can hear you. I couldn't say that before. Like I felt that shame just pulled me to my own cave, that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
Look at
right.
them.
You did that with your hands, like that shame brings me down into my cave, and now they're yelling, you're mad at me. And I think too, like, we yell at children,
Exactly.
we scold, like you're maybe feeling scolded
Yeah.
instead of maybe talking slower, change your words. Could you draw me a picture or something? Try some other way to communicate with me than to be mad at me.
Yeah.
And when did you and your husband start to share these things? Was it after you found the anger? Did you get, when did you like, because you smiled when,
No, actually, anger.
oh, you smiled when you said, I realized he was lonely for me. When I realized he was lonely for me, it's one of the first times you smiled in this story. Like, I had this sense of the two of you starting to come back closer to each other again. This immigrant experience was really, like you said, starting to create distance. What allowed that to happen? To start.
After actually a few years, we went to couples therapy. I was in graduate school, and that was part of the program. They told us JFK, in JFK University, we had to take 50 hours of therapy. And I asked him to join me, and we did. He did, and we, like, from outside, we were a perfect couple. Like, anybody saw us and say, "Oh, they are so happy, they are great." Like, we never fight, we never argue. Like, it was in surface, everything was okay. And he was surprised that we don't need couple therapy. I said, no, let's just do it for my school. And when we start to work, oh my gosh, all this came out, and he was shocked by hearing my stories. I was shocked to hear his stories. And we start to just feel that, oh, there was, yes, we don't fight, we are very nice to each other, but it's very on surface. Deep down, we both feel so lonely. Yeah.
I'm so glad you were able to do that.
Yeah.
It would be so sad. So, do you have some thoughts for therapists about if you're working with a couple, maybe specifically an immigrant couple, or but about, from your experience, what therapists might want to be aware of or looking for, asking about? Does that make sense?
That's, I think that's so important. We see that each of them, it's like other issue, but we shouldn't put them in the same box as an immigrant. They have similar experiences, that each of them, they have their own unique story. Even now that after all these years that I work with immigrants, I try to keep that openness in my heart, that let's just see how experience this person. Something I know, that they all experience grief. Like, grief is a big part of immigration, because we lose so many things. We lose our home, our culture, our family, the food we know, the streets we know, like our ceremony, or anything, many things. So grief is a big part, even for my husband, that living in the US was not new for him. He has that grief. Like, recently was our New Year. It's the first day of March, and in Iran, when you walk in the street, you see all the goldfishes and flowers, and you smell spring. So here, every year, every spring, I have that grief that, like nobody knows. We have to put our pictures on Facebook and tell people that it's our new year. So grief is a big part of our experience, but we experience it in a different way. And I think more than anything, it's important that therapists don't have that assumption that, one thing was painful for me, even the first years of my immigration, like I had a group of like white people that they were racist and they said mean things to me. But the other group of white people, they were too kind to me. And like the comment like, oh, Jila, I'm happy you're here and you are safe. You are living we are happy that you are living in the US and you are safe. And in my heart, I said, what? I was safe in my country. I was happy. Why you are making me like a victim? And I couldn't, I just felt I have to be polite and say thank you. And I got that feeling from some of my therapists, because I've been in therapy all these years with many different therapists, that, we are so happy you're here. And he said, don't have that assumption that I was in a very unsafe country or I was unhappy and you just saved my life. Just be curious about my experience, you know.
I think it's important what you're saying, that, well, I think what's important for me to remember as a United Statesian and as a white man, and things that what I hear on the news and how countries are portrayed in like TV and movies, not really what that country is. When I think about Iran, there's a travel person called Rick Steves who does these travel shows about Europe on our public television. And maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, he went to Iran, and it's just like this really poignant, powerful reminder. You know, he keeps saying like, people here are living normal lives. They have families. They go to dinner. They have celebrations and things, and don't think about Iran just from what you see on cable news or something. And another part I think is important. If the therapist meant, "Oh, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're in my office, and I'm happy that you're in the United States," that's okay. Maybe it's the part about, I want to make sure I'm understanding. It's the part about, I'm happy you're here because you left this terrible place and now you're saved. Versus if I say, you know, I'm happy to be talking to you today and us to be doing this video and I enjoy you. That part, that's a good part. That was missing a lot. This kind of being embraced, being welcomed. We're glad you're here. But then it sounds like, yeah, people would then say, you left a terrible place and it's your home. It's where you were born and raised, and you have so many fond memories. That must put you in an awkward position.
You know, that's right. Even, and of course, like many things in the US is different. The car we ride, our house, the food, like many things is much better quality than the life we had in Iran. So that there's no doubt on it. More than anything, freedom that we have here. Like I have to cover my hair in Iran. Like there's so many different things that we appreciate all these opportunities. But it doesn't mean that I was suffering, because we learn, even 8 years of war in Iran, we learn how to survive. Like we had our birthday parties under bombing. Like it was literally bombing and we had our birthday party. So the way that I felt sometimes people, when they look at us, that, oh, we are so happy you're safe here. It's good. Tell us about your family. Do you feel they're okay there? It just hurts that you have your own assumption. You have a story in your head. and you are not asking me.
Right. I think you mentioned curiosity earlier. Like, so I'm hearing for therapists, find out about grief when you're working with someone who immigrated. Don't assume that the experience of one partner is the same as the other or family member, and
Exactly.
ask about, tell me about where you came from and what do you miss and how is it to
Yeah.
be here. And then maybe you could tell me as a therapist, well, I miss this, lots of things, but I like having more freedom over here, but I miss the smells of my country, the food of my country, I miss family. They must have families and friends there that you don't get to see as much, and so be curious about people's experience rather than making assumptions that
Yeah.
about their experience.
I have many immigrants clients, they come to me and they said, oh, we saw a therapist before. Like there is no language barrier or nothing, but they wanted to see an immigrant therapist or Iranian therapist because they had this feeling that my therapist, two group of people, my therapist don't ask anything about my immigration experience, or my therapist focus on my immigration every session. Like it's always a question that tell me about your experience, tell me as an immigrant, as a people of color, like tell me about your kids. And I'm tired, I don't want to go there. That's part of my life, but I want to talk about my relationship with my partner. So immigration is not the issue that I like to focus. So
Almost like you're saying what we maybe do as therapists is I have an idea about when I hear immigration, I have an idea about it, and I kind of impose my idea about it. Like I either think, oh, you're saved, you came to the United States and everything's better now, or I need to just focus only on immigration every time we talk, and rather than like what's important to you, and I want to ask about immigration to show that I am open and curious, and I want to know how that impacts you and how that's impacting your relationship with your partner, with family, with work and things, but follow your lead then on it, not here I go with my, white privilege thinking I know the right way to talk about it or
yeah,
something. Is that close?
exactly. And that's so EFT, isn't it? I think
Uh-huh.
that's one of the biggest reason I love EFT, that we like attachment is a universal experience. We focus on attachment. We like to always talk about attunement. And I think that's like if we just practice to be attuned to their needs rather than what I feel is important. So it's
Okay,
rather
so
than
I do this thing I like to ask when I am talking to someone. Would you share like two or three ideas about EFT that you find are most helpful to you or you like to remember or do a lot in EFT work for any, EFT therapists listening? Like that'd be okay. Some tips from Jila.
for me, I guess highlight because I before I learned EFT, I learned psychodynamics, CBT, DBT, ACT. Like I just overwhelmed myself with too many courses, and anything I learned, I just felt it's cool, but this is not what I really want to do. I guess EFT sink very deeply inside of me because of that attachment lens, and the fact that we can work with anybody regardless of their culture, language, race, age, like religion. Like we can work with. It doesn't mean that we are perfect in all of course we have to practice, but um, focusing on relationship, focusing on attunement, seeing people with attachment lens was very, very powerful for me. So it's so helpful. Even now I'm working with Iran. I don't have any fear to talk about anything because anything they ask, I go back to attachment lens. So we don't need to talk about their belief, their um, like their job. Like it's so safe. I think that part really helped me to be open, and of course that curiosity, that the fact that a therapist is not the expert. That's always said that you need to learn from your clients. You don't teach them. That's I think that's so powerful.
Right. It sounds like it really grounds your work to back to attachment. Attachment is universal. Attunement, attune, be curious, learn from clients. And it sounds like you've seen EFT work in your own personal life, right? So it's a beautiful thing when the therapy model that we're trying to practice, it fits for us in our own life, right? That makes a big difference. And how's so it makes me, you brought me right back to the heart of the matter. Like, how's the attunement for you with me talking to you about this? I hope I want to create space for you to share this experience, reflect a little bit of it back, see if I'm getting it. Um, I'm gonna. It's a poignant, powerful reminder to remember there's grief with immigration, and don't assume things about. Remember to get to know the person and what immigration experience means for them, for their relationships, to not make assumptions, but also not to then think that that's maybe all they want to talk about. For some people, maybe they do. I had a couple where she had immigrated from Argentina and she just missed it so much that almost every session was about, I want to move back to Argentina, and he didn't.
No.
But I've also had other couples, I think, like you're saying, that um, they wouldn't want to talk about it every time. And but how is it talking to me about it? Is it okay?
Sure, it was really good. I felt you again, that curiosity was very obvious for me. You really want to know how was my experience or how is my experience. Your reflection was really helpful, especially when you see my body language, when you see my smile and the shaking I have. It really helps me. I guess, yeah, of course, I get so much validation, but plus I notice that you are seeing me. The question I always have, can you see me?
Yeah, those are
Can
your
you see me?
workshops.
Or can you,
Yeah,
yeah. Or do you see me in a box? And I felt, no, you really saw me.
I feel tearful inside and like good about that. And it makes I don't think about it that often, but um, my mother was Lithuanian by ethnicity, but born in Scotland. So Lithuanian parents that moved to Scotland, and then they, as children, and they meet and marry, and then she's born in Scotland, and they change their name from Merkovitz to Marks to try to fit in. And then my mom goes from Scotland to England as World War II starting, and that's a cultural shift, Scotland to England. And then at the end of the war, England to Canada, meets my United States dad, and she was always the fish out of water, always a little different. Her Scottish accent, her family wasn't as important as dad's family, and there
Yeah.
were two brothers that she left in England that she never saw again. Um, Things like that, and I think there's something about, in a sense, like most all of us are immigrants in some way, and to recognize and try to to be more conscious. It makes me want to be more conscious of welcoming, and I
Yeah.
feel sad for you that as a people in a country that we didn't embrace you more. And glad that you stuck it out and stayed and are contributing so much to
Thank
all of
you.
us.
It was really hard for me even to talk about this because I just felt, I guess I mentioned that if I talk about my grief, I'm saying I'm not grateful for this life. But that's not, of course I'm grateful for everything I have here, but it doesn't have any effect on my emotional experience.
But I
But
think you're running up
thank you so
against
much
something,
for,
but there's something real about this it's something we do to people in the United States that immigrate here, this sort of America, love it or leave it thing,
right,
and getting mad and saying, well, and go home. And then we say this to people who've been here for hundreds of years, their family. We say, people will say to Black people, then go home, say to Latinx
yeah,
people, say to, it's a terrible thing to imply that this home somehow belongs to whoever I identify with and not to you. And it is a shaming and traumatizing thing to not feel welcome. We want to
yeah.
belong, right? You wanted to belong, and so.
Before we come to the US, we went to Japan. That was my first actual experience getting out of the country. And it's funny that in Japan, when you don't speak Japanese, they tell you that how sorry they are. And it seems that it's their fault that they don't know your language. Like
Yes.
they keep saying that, oh, sorry. They try, like all of them come and they try to help you to understand the point. And you just feel that, oh, okay, I'm okay. It's their problem that they can't speak to me. But in the US, it's so different that you're supposed to know the language. So it's your fault. It's your weakness. There's something wrong with you. And nobody really try to, not nobody is too extreme, but it was a really different experience.
Thank you. Well, right there, you give a gift to any of us that are in any country where we speak the most dominant language, and we run into someone that's it, it's their second language, or they don't know that language, that maybe we could all say, I'm so sorry that I don't speak your language, and I wish I did, and I want to try to help.
Yeah.
I hope for the day when we were traveling once, we got this little set of cards that you could carry around, and it had symbols for things like, just some very basic human things like food, restroom or bathroom or toilet, or, depending on the country. That maybe, we can't all speak the 200 some languages, but maybe someday we'll have a language of the heart that we can at least start talking with each other, and remember that it's hard not to know the language in a country. It's hard to be seen as different and to be wondering, can people see me? Your workshop. So before we stop, I just want to say, Jila does wonderful workshop. Can you see me? And you're going to come do it in Boulder in November 5th. I don't know if I have the date right. It's November 4th or 5th, I believe. A 3-hour workshop. And so everybody in Colorado and Boulder, I hope, will join us and join you for that. That's the Boulder EFT community that's hosting you, which is some great EFT communities here in Denver EFT, Boulder EFT. We have one in our western slope, the mountain western Colorado EFT, and Colorado
Very
Springs and Fort
excited.
Collins. It's very exciting to have you come. And so thank you for that. And if someone wants to just maybe get a referral for a therapist that would be good for them, they want to talk to you, they have a follow-up question or something, what's a way to get hold of you?
Yeah, my website is jilabehnad.com. my phone number, my email address is there. So it's my first name and last name.
Great, great. And I just so value you, and I'm glad we're talking. I feel like
Thank you so much.
I already felt like I knew you in some ways,
Mm,
but I feel like I got to know so much, and I'm just really I appreciate your willingness. You said, you know, cry. I don't know if I want to cry, and it's hard, and grief, and there's so much, and you shared so much. And I think when we share
thank
our
you.
stories, we inspire other people, and I'm sure that more than one person will listen to you and
Yeah.
be moved by it, and it'll be helpful to them. So thank you for that gift.
And you made it very